Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Laide from Cakes by Lay. I'd like to take you guys through the process of this gorgeous cake that instantly became internet sensation when I posted it. Okay, so for a project like this, what I basically do is start from the computer because you want to see the layout, you want to understand the layout before you even make your first step. Of course, if you do not prepare by having sketches and your calculations, the height of each cakes and how the outlook of it all is going to be, you're going to be surprised when it's time to get the work done because things may not just add up. So to avoid that, I put the cakes together on the computer first, and this cake is an 8-tier cake. The base is 25 inches, the next tier 22, 19, 16, 13, 10, 7, and 5. And of course the structure besides the cakes, I had to decide where I wanted that to reach, if I want where I wanted it to reach, and then the height of it, where the curves will be, and just pretty much the basics of the layout. Okay, and most importantly, of course, the point at which the structures by the side is attached to the cake itself, and then the point at which it's attached to the board. Okay, because if you do not have this, if you not do that, you may struggle to have it stand up straight. So this is very important. And of course, the shape of the structure I had to decide in order to let the person cutting it know how I want it to be, and what height I want it to be. Another important reason to have this setup is for you to know your dimensions. Okay, so if I measure from point A to point B, it measures, I think, a total of 30 inches. Obviously, I know my board needed to be bigger, so we went with a 35 inches board in order to accommodate everything going on the cake, the flowers, the structure, and everything. These are some of the sugar flowers that we're going to attach to the cake later on. We started making them 3 weeks ahead of the date of the wedding in order to have enough, because it's a cake that is practically filled with sugar flowers, and they had enough time to dry, and we coupled them. Okay, so I'm basically starting by wiping down my boards. You want to make sure you give it a very good wipe before you start. And then, like I mentioned earlier, my board measures 35 inch, so it's a very big board that's going to accommodate everything I plan to attach on it. Okay, some of the cakes in between, I think some of the tiers, 3 of the tiers are dummy, so they go in between the real cakes. Firstly, we're starting with the base, which is 25 inch. We've covered this in fondant. If you'd like to learn how to cover a cake in fondant, we have another video on that on our YouTube channel. And of course, even how to mix fondant from scratch, you can totally research all of that. All these videos and many more are available on our page for you to watch at any time. Okay, so the doweling, that's the structure, has been done inside the cake. That's there's a thin layer of fondant covering where we did the doweling, so you can't see it by just looking at the cake from the outside. Okay, so probably that's another topic I'll touch another day. Okay, so basically when you start stacking, you want to make sure you align each of the tiers. You want to make sure it centralizes, and it's not shifted towards a particular side. So for this particular one, I wasn't really quite satisfied with the way the top looked, and I was going to put a very thin layer of fondant to cover the top before I proceed. After that quick fix, pretty much I continue to stack my cake. So I think this tier is definitely a dummy. You can tell by how light and how jiggly it is when I'm stacking. Okay, but regardless, it's also covered in fondant, and of course you want to put your best parts forward. You want to make sure no lines are showing. You want to make sure the clean parts are all facing the front. Okay, so if this requires you to shift or to tilt the cakes a little bit, you can totally do that. Okay, so this is me trying to reach high, because of course the cake is starting to get taller. I have to like climb the chair to continue my stacking. Another important thing to let you guys know is at the bottom of each cake there's a stacking board. Okay, so there's a board that enables us to carry the cake easily from underneath without crushing or without smashing on the sides. Okay, so these are stacking board. They are thinner than regular boards that you use for the cakes. So after putting the cakes together, obviously you want to step back to see that it's straight. Okay, if it needs any adjustment, you can give it a little raise in areas that are tilted. Okay, just pretty much making sure everything is square and straight. And of course, I would like to let you guys know that this cakes measures exactly the way I have planned it on my computer. Okay, I made sure the height of the cake tallies with what I had planned out. Now that my cake is standing, I'm just going to go and do the detailing on my acrylic structures going by the side. So I've had a little help having this pre-cut. I just called somebody that could help with it, and they got it done. I gave them my sizing, my shapes and dimensions, and they got it done for me. Okay, so on this I have like some pre-cut paper vines which I'm going to use to decorate it, right? So I have them pre-cut and I'm just sticking it to it using a glue. Okay, I was pretty much particular about the vines. At some point, some of the leaves became too big. I had to like reduce it because I did not want to cloud or cluster the acrylics with this vine. Okay, because I'm still going to have lights on them later on. So in total, I have 4 of them, 2 going on each side, and just showing you guys how the detailing is going, and I did this for all 4 of them. Another important thing you want to be careful about when you're working with new acrylics is to, as much as possible, try to avoid fingerprints. It's there's really, you can help it sometimes, but too much fingerprint on it makes it cloudy and a little bit dull. So even if you get your fingerprints on it, enable to wipe it down with the right substance. Okay, bearing in mind that it's going to be attached to a cake. And of course I have my lights. It's the rope light is one of my favorite kind of lighting to use, because you can pretty much cut it to whatever size that you want, or whatever size that works for you, and this is what we have done in this case. So I'm just attaching the light using a hot glue. When you're working with the hot glue, you have to be careful because it can burn you several times. Okay, so you have to be really careful. So attaching the light to the acrylic all the way to the bottom, and I'm doing this exact thing for all 4 acrylics, and this is the point where we test it, where we see whether it works and how it is generally, and we're pretty satisfied with the result of it. So I went ahead and did all 4. At that point, that's where the acrylic touches the cake, so I'm attaching a skewer with which we're going to use to attach this into the cake. Okay, so you want to make sure you stick it really nice and firm. And of course on the bottom part, you want to make sure you stick the one touching the board. You want to also make sure you stick it down. If you notice, I haven't covered my board in any fondant because I needed to get this done before going ahead to do that. Okay, so after doing all that and you've attached to your cake, then you can go ahead and attach the flowers. Okay, so attaching the flowers obviously is also an art. You have to take your time. You have to make sure the arrangement follows the particular pattern that you've planned. Okay, so for this, all the flowers are supposed to like fade all the way up. Okay, so we have like a cluster of them on the bottom, and then it gradually moves up and fades up. Okay, so you want to really take your time to do this arrangement in order for it to look good. And of course, because it's got a lot of flowers, you also want to make sure you fill in the spots that looks scanty. So you really have to take your time to do this. So pretty much besides the flowers, I also have some non-edible crystal flowers that I'm attaching just to accents to add accents to the cake a bit. And this is going on the edge, just all the way up at the edge of each sides of the flowers. Okay, so when you're working, you also want to step back, look at it, look at areas that you have to focus and concentrate on, areas that needs more attention, more flowers, more feeling, and all of that. Another important thing to note is I attached the white ribbon to cover up the gaps in between the tiers. Okay, and I chose the color that blends with the cake the most. Okay, so on this particular one, a common question was, oh, how did you transport it to the venue? Obviously, I didn't transport it to the venue stacked. I had to take the cakes off tier by tier. We packaged them separately and transported them to the venue. I needed to set up the cake in my studio first just to see how it looks, if there are any other additions or whatnot. Okay, so that part was important for me. After which we took everything apart, and of course the flowers were still attached, but we went to set it up at the venue. Okay, so this is the beauty of it all. When it all comes together, when it makes sense together, we tried turning off the lights just to see how the glow in the dark effect will work. Okay, and it's such a stunning cake that from the moment I finished, I was happy with it. Okay, and this is the cake at the venue because it was a night wedding. We felt the need to do a glow in the dark cake. It was a night garden wedding, and it fitted perfectly with the ambience, with everything. It was so gorgeous. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask me in the comments section. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you're not subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe, please. Show some love, show some support, and give us a thumbs up. Invite your friends to subscribe. Send the link of this video to people who you think will care about watching it, and we will be glad you did. Thank you so much. We've got other interesting videos on our channel that you can check out. And isn't this just so beautiful to watch? Anyways, thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.